Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Safe News. I was on vacation for a week or so. Wasn't able to record, but now I'm back and about to start pumping out some videos. So, the first one I want to talk about is space orbital flights for civilians. So, this article is saying that soon, maybe in the next year or so, humans, just your normal average everyday humans, will be able to take a little private spaceship out into orbit, fly around the Earth, check out the curvature, maybe see the ISS, and that should be pretty cool. Me personally, I wouldn't do it. Sounds very dangerous, but if you're a risk taker and thrill seeker, it's probably the ultimate thrill. So we got SpaceX and Virgin Galactic uh, pushing for this right now. You can see here it's supposed to go up to like 62 miles above the Earth's surface. So not as high as the space station, but you will be able to see it a lot better than you can from here. And this trip will be kind of like going on a little safari. You jump in a truck, go around, you see the animals. Be the same thing except in a spaceship. You'd go up into space and you'll get a good look at the Earth, then the stars, and maybe the ISS satellite or two, and then you'll come back down and land. Might be an hour trip, probably cost $100,000, but I'm sure you're gonna have celebrities and athletes and a bunch of rich people willing to go on that thrilling journey, but it's definitely not for me. But if you're one of those people that always wanted to go into space, you got the money, have fun. So the next story I want to talk about is this dwarf planet. They just recently found out that Cirrus, a dwarf planet inside the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, was or is alive. They're saying that millions of years ago, this world was covered in oceans, and they're seeing remnants of brine on the surface, which means that there was some kind of liquid ocean or water on the surface and it evaporated, leaving all the salt content on the surface. Supposedly, this place wasn't like an ocean, nice, beautiful blue water. It was really muddy and resembled more of like a swamp than an ocean. So this could have been a swamp world, the whole entire world of swamp. But you don't really think about it too often. You always think about the ocean worlds, the ice worlds. But yeah, this could have been a swamp world. And they don't really know too much about it because it's just more recently discovered. But I'm sure in the next few years they're going to send out a probe to do some digging. Here's some mountains that it has on its surface. So it has mountains, has volcanoes. It's a very interesting place. Supposedly an asteroid came, hit it right here, and destroyed it. You know, destroyed its atmosphere and started all blasting all its super volcanoes, and it died. But my question is, how could this place have water on its surface where it's located? This is beyond Mars, which is frozen, uh, in between Mars and Jupiter, so that kind of means that maybe it wasn't always there. Maybe it was closer to the sun and something devastating hit it, maybe that comet, and pushed it out to where it's at now, freezing it, destroying its atmosphere. We're not really sure yet, but hopefully in the next few years we'll get some more information on it. The next story I want to talk about is Carnival Cruise. So here in the U.S., it got pushed back until about November, and it's probably be pushed back again. I mean, I can't imagine these boats sailing out of the U.S. until next year due to the soaring COVID-19 rates. But in Germany, it's supposed to start sailing again on September 6th, and Hamburg's supposed to start on the 12th. So that's good news. It's showing some positivity. Me personally, I don't think I would take a cruise at this time. It's just way too enclosed. You know, all the stuff, the restaurants, the clubs, the casinos, they're all indoors. And, you know, they have some stuff on the deck, but, you know, everybody's going to be hanging out on the deck the whole time. Most likely they'll be indoors. And this seems very unsafe. I mean, my sister and her husband, you know, her husband works at a small office as an engineer, and one of his coworkers got sick with COVID. You know, that coworker was there at work for a couple days, and everybody in the office caught it. You know, just like that. So I don't know how they're gonna stop people with COVID by getting on the boat, but at least we're going in the right direction. So if you want to really go on a cruise and you've been missing it, you could always fly out to Germany if they let you in and hop on one of these cruise boats going out on September 6th.
Point, dude.
The next story I want to talk about is Hubble captures its first direct image of a star other than our sun. So recently, I guess Hubble was pointed at the star Betelgeuse, or Betelgeuse, and took some nice images of it. I don't want to play the video because it's kind of loud for some reason, even though I have it muted right here. But Betelgeuse is a red supergiant, and it's about 10 times bigger than our sun. So if it was where our sun was right now, or is, it would go all the way to Jupiter, which is just hard to even imagine something that massive. And it's basically in its dying stages. You know, it may go supernova at any time, really. And, you know, this is what happens when stars get closer to the end of their life. You know, eventually the sun will become a red giant. I don't think it'll be a super red giant, but it will become a red giant, and it will probably destroy all the inner planets maybe in the next 3 billion years or so. So that's something to look forward to. But, you know, if you want a little comparison, this little image right here, this is the sun, this tiny dot. You could barely see it. And this is Betelgeuse. I mean, that's insane. And it's not even the biggest one in our galaxy. I mean, here's another one, Antares, and I mean, it's almost double the size of Betelgeuse. And it gets even bigger than that. So it's fun to talk about things of that scale, because it's just unimaginable how this little speck could be our sun, and this is just another star floating around in space. The next story I want to talk about is This one, it's kind of interesting. Can black holes fall into wormholes? Scientists have a way to find out. So this was very interesting to me because some people think black holes are wormholes. What's the difference between a black hole and a wormhole? I'm not really sure. A wormhole is supposedly a tunnel through the fabric of space that could bring you to another place in space. And some people believe that black holes possibly do the same thing. I mean, there's no way of telling right now. I mean, we can't send a probe into a black hole and see what happens. It'll be destroyed. And we haven't seen a wormhole, even though Einstein's theories said that it could exist. Then they call it a Einstein Rosenstein bridge, something like that. And I just thought it was kind of interesting how science is at least talking about this stuff now. So we're not going to know too much about it right now, but it's basically admitting that wormholes do exist. And that's probably the answer to interstellar travel because going the speed of light is just not fast enough. You know, if you were to go the speed of light to the next closest planet, I think it's like 3 to 4 light years away. At the speed of light, it would take you 8 years to go there, come back, and in that time, everything on Earth will change because the faster you go, time tends to stop, and so you'll come back to Earth and wouldn't even be recognizable. They'll probably not even know who you are anymore. And that's just the closest star. So the galaxy's 100 million light years wide. So just imagine to go from one side of the galaxy to the other. I mean, 100 million years. It's just absurd. So obviously, the speed of light's not the fastest or most appropriate way to travel, but hopefully this is, you know, some wormholes. So the next thing I want to talk about is this article because school's about to start. So 100 Gulfport High school students quarantine after teacher shows coronavirus symptoms. I mean, what do you expect? We're still having cases. Schools trying to reopen. How are you going to manage kids at school during a pandemic? And it even says students have distanced and worn masks in class, as has the teachers at all times. Uh, she still caught it. So that was just a little, didn't really have too much information about it, but just talks about the teacher showing signs of COVID. And this was in high school where people could be a little more considerate, not put their fingers in their mouth. What are you going to do with 4-year-olds and 3-year-olds and 5-year-olds? I don't know, it's just a big mess. My kid's supposed to be starting school next week and kind of freaking out personally because I don't want him to catch it, and worse, I don't want him to bring it home. But I guess it's out of our hands. So this is an interesting article. This one, the federal agent seized 530 pounds of meth, 940 pounds of marijuana. So we know drug bust happens all the time, but I was just amazed at the number. I mean, that's ridiculous. 530 pounds of meth, 940 pounds of marijuana. I mean, can you imagine the amount of money that this was? I mean, Look, it's inside tires. I mean, these people are. They said a dog sniffing, drug sniffing dog got a hit on the vehicle. They ended up finding it inside of these tires. I don't know how you hide that much inside a vehicle. Oh, the whole car was a drug car. They had it in the panels, the quarters, the cargo doors, the spare tires. I mean, it was a drug car. Just, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's the kind of stuff you see in movies. But I haven't really seen this on the news or anything, but that's why I kind of wanted to bring it up because it was just very amazing how many. Can you imagine the dealer of this? How much money this guy's worth? I mean, he's probably definitely worth tens of millions of dollars. And they took a hit right here. But they don't care about the guy that got caught. And these drugs, I mean, probably don't cost them anything to make. I mean, weed just grows. Meth they just created in the lab. So they probably didn't really lose too much money at all. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit. And the last story of the day is I had to talk one about Disney. And this talks about the little tricks that Disney parks use to make the wait times more bearable. So, if you went to ride a ride that was an hour and a half long wait, and you just saw people lined up, swirling back and forth through the turnstiles or the railings, you'd be like, oh man, this is going to take forever. And so one of the things they do is they create scenery, so when you go on a ride like Pirates of the Caribbean, for example, you're going through caves and you're seeing all these different things. So like your mind kind of gets distracted because now you're like checking this out, seeing these over here, these little scenes that they create, and it's a good trick. And a lot of rides do it. Space Mountain, it's like you're walking through a spaceship and you're going up and down, and they got all these beautiful things for you to see. And I never really thought about it, but yeah, it makes a real good distraction because you're taking pictures, and next thing you know, the time is up. And another thing they do is they purposely exaggerate the wait times. So if the wait time's an hour, it might only be 40 minutes. And they do that so when you only waited 40 minutes in line and it said an hour, you think to yourself, oh man, that went by pretty quick, faster than the wait time. And so you go on the next ride, it says an hour, and it's 40 minutes. And so you're like, oh, and it tricks you to think that you're kind of winning. And in reality, they just inflated the wait time. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thing. But the proof's in the pudding. I know people talk about it a lot, that the ride's exaggerated the wait times, but it really is true. This is one of the tactics they use. And so next time you're there, if you see that hour-long wait time, just remember that it maybe be only 40 minutes. So that's it for today. Talked on a couple little stories. Had to throw in the Disney one in there. I'll be back the next couple days with a new update, some new news for you. And thanks everybody, and stay safe.